Hello friends, welcome to Compage and this is Varad Mittal. So friends, when I was thinking for today's video title, a sudden idea struck my mind. My idea was to give a general explanation to my viewers on HTML and Python. So there is no specific code that I will be explaining today. There will be you can say a type of lecture you can say, or a type of explanation you can say. So I will be explaining you with examples, and with examples I will explain you the flowchart, the syntax of statements and many more things. So let's begin. So friends, first let us open our notepad where I will be giving you some brief explanations of everything. So let's first open the notepad. Yes, this is the notepad. Yeah. So first let us type here Python, right? Here's Python, and now let us start. So first let us know what's Python. Python basically, for Python, it is a programming language. Firstly, it's a programming language, and secondly, it is used by most of the programmers in the world. It's a very good language and it is used by many people. Right? 1 second. Let me mark it. Let me highlight it. It's the first point. Right? Let us now enter. Yeah. What the second point says is, that Python is very easy to learn. The Python I know is very simple, and because it's at a beginner level. As we increase the complexity, as we take more steps to learn anything, the complexity, it becomes difficult to learn, right? So there are now starting with functions and statements. There are two types of you can say functions in Python. There are two types of functions in Python. That's right. So the first function is input function. And the second function is print function. Now let us know what are the uses of these both of these functions, right? So the input functions helps us to take input from the user, right? Like we used to take input, enter your age, right? So the user can enter his or her age. And what's the print function? It is used to display the result or to print it, or it prints the result on the output screen, right? So basically what are input and print functions? The input function is the function that helps us to take input from the user. It's very simple, like if we write x is equal to int of float, right? If we have to write a float, I will be explaining. I think I haven't explained what's float. So int and float, and then input, then enter your age. Then we used to write the statements like if the age is this, then print this, else this, like this, right? So input function is this. Now what's print? Print function is used to display the output on the screen, right? That if we have applied input statement, that input your age, enter your age, and then print age. Like we have to, for example, let me show you. Example is, let us show you the example in Python screen also, right? Only that Python will only help you. Just First we need to take a variable in Python, right? we assign a value to a variable. Then int of float we write. I will explain what float today only. Then input. Then enter your age. Enter your age and double bracket close. Then print x. Right. Let me save it and I'll be showing you the result. Let me save it in a desktop. Let me save it with py. py.py f5. Let's wait a second. Yeah. My age is 17, so it's printing 17 because I have made a code like this. Hope you understand what input and print statement. And one more thing, I made here. Anything that we write in the quotes single or double. First we write that first let me write, then I will explain what I am writing. Single or double is printed as it is on the output screen. What basically this line says? This line is saying that anything that we write in the quotes, be the quote single or double. I have explained you that we used to write everything in double quotes. That if we write in its single quotes, let me show you. This is in single quote, quote, and this is in also single quote. If I apply it, then also it will show you the result 45, 7 and 7. Getting my point? So anything that we write in a quote, be it single or double, is printed as it is on the output screen. Anything that we are writing on the output in the double quotes is printed as it is on the output screen. Let me show you that here we haven't applied any print statement, right? Here we have applied print statement, but here we haven't applied any print statement. Then also it is printing the outputs like this: enter your age as it is on the output screen of ideally of Python, right? If also I make a mistake here, like here's a spelling mistake of enter, I have written ente, then also if I save it, it will print the same, enter your age. Because Python is only a language, it's only a machine that prints whatever we give the instructions. It basically works on our instructions, be the instruction wrong, be it right. This is the main disadvantage of AI, you can say, and the main disadvantage of computer machines, that they don't use their own logic. They don't have logic basically. They don't use their logic to interpret the commands. They only print the commands that we are giving to them, right? Now let us move further. We have learned that there are two types of functions in Python. There are input and print. Now the third thing is, the third thing is there are two types of statements in Python, right? There are only two types of statements in Python. One is the conditional statements, and the second one is jump statements, right? Now if I say that conditional statements and jump statements are further divided into parts, then what will be your reaction? Let me mention that jump statements and conditional statements are further divided into some parts, right? And those parts, the conditional statements, is further divided into three types. Conditional statements are of three types. The first type, the first type is if. The second type is if, and then three, else, if else, and the third type is if, elif, and else. if else, and if else. If and if else I have explained you. If else I'll be explaining you in my further tutorials. First, let us basically understand what is if. Generally, what is if else, and if else statements. What are they in general terms? If statements. You can also see the flow chart of if statement on the corner. So this is the flow chart. This is the flow chart of if statement. So now let's first write the syntax of just getting error. The syntax of if. The syntax for if statement is if, then the conditional statements. Then what the condition? That if x is equals to 18, print this, then this, that. The if conditional statements instead of values. Conditional statements. And then there are certain alignments also. It doesn't mean that you can write anything anywhere. There are certain alignments also. So there are certain alignments in Python also. So if conditional statements, and then statements to be printed, or you can just write statements. Right. So here there is an error. Here we have done a mistake. That it also has a colon here. Then only it moves to this here. Otherwise, if we don't have a colon here, it will make the cursor here, the pointer here. Right. So these are statements that are printed, and this is the condition of if. So this is the syntax of if statements. I hope you know what is if statement. If you don't know, ask me in the comment box. I'll surely make a video if anyone has a doubt in it. Now moving to the syntax of if else statement, you can see the if else statement flow chart on the side. So the syntax for if else statement is very similar. If first need to write syntax. So syntax is if, then again conditional statements, conditional, just spelling error, conditional statements, and then one more mistake we have encountered here, space, yes, colon, and then space. It will automatically give a space, and then the statement that need to be printed. The statements. It's not over yet. We have to write the else condition also. Else, just below if, else, and in else we don't write any sort of statement that if else x equals to this, then print this, because we write else only when there is no other option. That if we need to write, if we are writing a code for even and odd, there can be only two conditions: either the number is even, either the number is odd, right? So we can use if else statement, right? That first we are assigning a value to a variable, that x is equals to int or float, input a number, then enter a number, and then if x is equal x modulus x divided, I haven't shown you a code, I am telling you in general, if x divided by 2 is equals to this, then print this. So there are only two statements, and in else we don't need to write any conditional statements, right? Then else and the statement for else, right? Now writing the syntax for if else. So syntax for if else is if, the same, it's almost the same, then conditional statements, and then the statements, here a colon, right? Then elif statement, elif just below if, elif, then conditional expressions of statements, conditional statements, then a colon, sorry, a semicolon, and then the statements that need to be printed. Then elif, statements, and then the condition for else only colon, and then the statements. So guys, this is the full syntax, and you can also see the flowcharts at the side. Now moving to jump statements. What are jump statements? First let us understand what are jump statements, then we will be moving to the types of jump statements. First, I forgot to tell you what are conditional statements. Conditional statements are the statements that if we are writing the code in which there are conditions, that if this happens, print this, if this happens, then print this, if this happens, then print this. So there are conditions. If means there is a condition that either you do this or you do this. There is a condition wherever there is a where we need to print a condition in Python. We use the conditional statements that are if else, and if elif else. These are conditional statements, right? Now moving to what are jump statements. Jump statements, there are two types of jump statements. Firstly, the first one is continue. The first statement is continue, and the second statement is break. Now what are these? Firstly, continue statement in general is that it skips the current iteration. Iteration means the current value, and it moves to the next value. One more thing I want to tell you, that the continue and break statement are together used with a loop, that is for loop. We will be understanding what is for loop in the upcoming tutorials, right? So what is continue statement? Continue statement, it skips the current iteration. Like if I have to print 10, 15, 20, 25 in for loop, right? I'll be explaining what's for loop. So 10, 15, 20, 25 if I have to print. Now if I apply continue there and equate the value of continue to 15, for example to 15, and now save and start the program, it will print 10, 20, 25. It will skip 15 and it will print the next iteration and will continue the loop, right? Similarly, what's break statement? Break statement is the statements in which we need to write it is also used in accordance with for loop, and if I write 10, 15, 20, 25 and apply break and equate, and if imagine I equate the condition, equate the value of break to 20, I have to print 10, 15, 20, 25, and I have equated the value of break to 20. So now the loop will print 10 and 15 only. It will stop when the value of the variable becomes 20, and it will skip all the upcoming iterations, and it will only print till 10 and 15. This is very useful in some cases, right? You can also see the flowchart of continue and break, right? For now I am not explaining you jump statements, because first we need to learn what is for loop, then only we can learn what is continue and break. For loop I have to give a big tutorial, not a big tutorial, in 1 to 2 videos it will be fine. So when I will be explaining you the for loop, then I will be showing you the syntax of continue, the syntax of break. For now you can only see the flowchart of continue and break, right? So guys, I don't think I know more Python in this, but you may think that it is so small to learn for Python, but my friends, I must tell you that I have created almost more than dozens of code with these statements. More than dozens, I am saying. I have saved them all. More than dozens of code I have there, because there are endless endless possibilities in Python. In coding we have endless possibilities. We can create code of anything we want. That's why applying our logic, applying our problem solving abilities, we can create many codes. So guys, this was for today, and guys, my next video will be you can say an explanation or a lecture, you can say, on HTML. I'll be explaining you the basics of HTML, and from which you can create web pages, you can create lists and links and many things, many other things. That I'm saying many other things. So we'll meet in the next video. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Keep coding, keep learning.